Hi everyone, we're back with the 2020 Biz Kickstart event, and I'm joined with, here we go, Fortina. Hopefully I got that right. And we're talking all about how to be productive from home. So we're not talking about working in an office or working for a job or any of those things. We're talking about people that have home-based businesses and what we can do to maximize our potential with that, maximize how we spend our time or our output or whatever it is. So share a bit about you, say hey to the people that are watching, and share a bit about how you got involved with this as well.
Hi everyone, this is Faustina Anyanwu. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me to speak on this. I'm the co-founder of C Hub Magazine. In fact, I'm co-founder to so many businesses. So co-founder of C Hub Magazine and also the chief editor. I'm also co-founder of Divas of Color International Women's Forum, and I'm also the publishing editor for Fauntee Limited. So these are the core things that I do in my business. At the same time, I do mentoring, business mentoring, and those kind of things. So a lot of things and that I do, and the one that touches my heart a lot is I campaign on I raise awareness on mental health, so through my Divas of Color. So I talk a lot on that. That's briefly who I am, and I'm a busy mom of 4. I have 4 kids. My first daughter is 12. I have 11, and I have 10. Then I have a 1-year-old.
Right. So you must have a bit of you must have a knack, I suppose, for being able to run businesses around all the other priorities, because most people tend to live their priorities, right? Their priorities their business, then they live that way. If their priorities their family, then they live that way. But sometimes our priorities can change, our priorities can shift, and you seem to be able to manage that, right? You manage a couple of companies, you co-found a couple of companies, and yet you're able to maintain home life as well. So you must have a lot of things nailed down, if you will, whether it's systems or practices or whatever it is, that can allow you to do all that, because it seems like a lot, like 4 kids. I know some of them might be independent, but some of them might not be. And being able to do it all must be quite a challenge. How did it go in the early days? Because I imagine now you probably have a lot of things dialed in terms of your strategies or whatever it is. But was it a trial and error thing? Was it a lot of things didn't work until you found something that did? Like, what was the early days like?
Okay. Thank you so much. That's a very important question, and one of the questions I get all the time. So the thing is this, when you start a business or when you are going to run your own business, there's always a driving force, and that driving force, one that is going to be passion. So when you start with passion, it's going to push you, it's going to carry you along, to a point. Then at a point, you find out that only passion is not going to get you anywhere. You need to also, cash flow becomes a problem. You need to sort out things that need money. Therefore, only passion is not going to be doing the job for you. At that point, that is when you start either brainstorming and finding out ways to actually make your passion pay for itself and pay you as well. So there was this time when we really struggled, especially the very first year. Our first year, my first daughter at that time she was still about 3-4 years. So I used to do school runs, they were so completely dependent on me. And then my husband is somebody that works as well, so he works most of the time, he's not available. And I was so passionate with my business, the ideas I had. I wanted to go into the business. And by the way, I'm a nurse midwife, but I don't have passion for that. So, and people were telling me, why not go back to your profession? It's easy. You go, you have your schedule, you go to work, how much you're earning at the end of the month. But that wasn't going to, I've done that for like 5-6 years. I'm done with that. So as soon as I got married, I knew that I needed to focus on other things I wanted. So that passion and the idea that I need to provide for my children and my family and all those kind of things and fulfill my life goals as well. So that was the driving force for me. And then I started reading wide, I started trying things. So one of the things that came up was I must have schedule. If I'm not properly scheduled, I will just end the whole 24 hours doing nothing or achieving nothing. I will just be busy. Most times people are very busy doing nothing. You cannot itemize what you achieve. And that is what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So oftentimes entrepreneurs, you believe you own your own time. Then you find out that at the end of the day, that time you spent it doing absolutely nothing to build and grow your business. And that is one of the, in fact, from the research I did, I found out that about 40% of businesses that fail is because of mismanagement of your, you know, time. So, and for you to be able to succeed in running your business as an entrepreneur, employing yourself, you need discipline, a lot of discipline. Then add add the fact that you're running that business from home, then it's going to require even more discipline. You must be very, very disciplined.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because there's a number of things that came up for me where, there's the old saying of, if you work for a company, everyone's like, oh, well, meetings have to be an hour, right? And people can be surprised at how short meetings can be. It's kind of where I'm going with this. You mentioned like mismanaging your time, and it happens a lot where, you go for a team meeting that lasts an hour, but you don't really say anything. There's nothing that's productive. It's just like a roundup of the week, right? This is what happened. These are the things that we can change. These are the things that we can deal with and cope with. It takes forever. And I also remember there's a lot of companies out there that use like Slack or Trello or something along those lines, whereby they could send that in a report before the meeting, and literally they go on a meeting for 15 minutes where everyone reads it before they go in, and it's like, anyone got any questions about that? And most people say no, and that's the end of the meeting. And you save like 45 minutes to an hour because some people might not even turn up to the meeting because they've got nothing to say, and that's okay because they can keep in touch through other means. And that's just a very, very small example. I get that. But it's the same with, like, when you mentioned discipline. I think it's Jocko Willing. It was a Navy SEAL trainer. I listened to an interview with him a couple of weeks ago, and he said that it's discipline that gives you the freedom. Like if you go through your day without any discipline at all, like you could, as you said, spend all day being busy but not doing anything. Where you have that discipline, like if you have a discipline for an hour or discipline for 2 hours, that's better than like 5 hours of going through the motions. But that's a full day to a lot of people. 5 hours of constant sort of going through the motions, if you take out food and things, that's a full day for a lot of people. Which brings up another question of, how can we be more disciplined? Because we're talking about being from home now, and I'm sure you've got distractions on top of distractions, right? You've got kids and businesses and probably people phoning you and wanting little bits and pieces of your time and all those things. How do you go about trying to create that level of discipline?
Okay. Yes. This one is very, very important. See, to create that discipline, first of all, you need to think about your time. You need to, just like what you said, you need to think about your resources. So, from my own, the way I have structured myself and how I've been running my business for the past 7 years. First of all, before you start your business at home, you need to think in your home, where exactly you need to have a permanent spot in your house that is designated to your business. and you call that place your office. It doesn't matter if it's a table, it doesn't matter if it's on a shelf or what, any space in your house, you must designate it as your office. And make sure that no activity happens in that little space. Do you understand? Everybody in your family respects that space. Therefore, anytime you're on that space, it means you are on duty. You started your work. That's one thing. Have a permanent space allocated for your business. Then that's one. Then two is like you said, your time management. There are two ways that I've tried to put that. One is have a timetable for the day, and in fact, it's actually three. The first one is have your timetable. For example, what I mean by timetable, as a mom, I'm going to use the example as a mom. If you're a mom, you have children who go to school. Now, when I started my business, I had my one of my children was going to nursery school, so she goes to school by 9 o'clock and comes back by 12. Then I had the other ones in primary school that come back by 3 p.m. So you can see that I only have 3 hours in between. Now, with that, you know your family very well, and you know why you started your business at home. For me, I started my business from home because of the need to be around my children and pick them up. I don't have to have another child minder and all those child care issues. Now, so I wake up, I make sure I wake up at 6 a.m., get myself ready, get my my office space ready, and then I get the children ready by make their food, everything by 7:30. The children are ready so that by 9 o'clock they are in school. All of them are in school. Now from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I have schedule of what I'm going to do. So I know that, like for me, I have either I catch up with emails or you know what you want to do first. So you know that you have from 12 o'clock to from 9 a.m. to 12 o'clock. This is what I'm going to achieve. This is what I'm going to focus on. It doesn't matter if you want to focus on using that time to sort out family things like cleaning the house or what. It depends on your own home. Now, so for me, I make sure that I wake up by 6 o'clock. So before the children are up, I've done the things I need to do, like cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the house, so everywhere is ready for me to start my day. And I take my own shower as well, dress up. Now I treat it as if I'm going to work. Now imagine if I'm going to work to an office, or I'm being paid to go to work somewhere else. What time am I going to wake up to prepare for myself to go to work and prepare my children to go to school? So the same way you treat going out there, treat your own business that same way. So that was what I was doing. So from 9 o'clock to 12, I have what to do. Then I know that from 12 o'clock, by 12, or maybe 11:30, I should be ready to go and pick my children. And I was lucky, all their schools are just like 2 minutes walk from my house. So I would just dash to the school, I would dash to the school and rush back home and finish up whatever I'm doing. Then, and also, I was lucky then, my daughter, they are, my daughter that time was, once you feed her, do what she needs, clean her, bath her or whatever, she goes to sleep. So I don't know whether it was me that made her in that way or that's her nature. I can't say. So, but for me, once I bring my daughter home by 12 o'clock, I make sure she eats, and then when she finished eating, I'll sometimes I'll put the high chair here, strap her, and put her favorite TV, and I'll continue walking. And in no time, sometimes 30 minutes, 20 minutes, she's already sleeping, and I'll go and put her to bed and continue my walk. Now, I know that I'm going to work from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. Now, by 2:30, 2:35, I will end whatever I'm doing. And then I'll get ready to go and pick the other ones from primary school. Now, when we come back from school, this is the most crucial time now for me. From 3 o'clock, I know that my attention has to go to them. Once they arrive home, I close the office. I close my work. I close everything. I don't take phone calls. I put everything on hold. And then I focus on them, focus on the things I need to do with them. And then if I need to cook, give them food, talk about the school, what they did, all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Then by 6 o'clock, they do their homework, whatever, prayers and things, and they go to bed. So once they go to bed, by 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., I come back to my office and I work. I start working on my business again for another 3 hours. So I make sure that I work at least up to 8 hours every day. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I know that there are 8 good hours that I dedicated, to the business every single day, regardless of what happens. Now, that is one point on the time management. The next one is have a workbook. People say workbook is completely different from journaling. Workbook means that you have now. See, I have, because of my business, I have different workbooks. So like for me, I have writers who write for our magazine. So I'm the chief editor. So on my workbook, I have workbook for the magazine. I have workbook for Divas of Color. So each of the workbooks, each day I stipulate what we're going to achieve for the month. I have the bigger plan, and I have plans for each day. Now, before you go to bed every day, you have to itemize what you're going to do what you're going to do the next day. So you plan your day from the previous day. So, which is why it's very important for me to work when the children are sleeping, because that is when I calm down and then I put down the things that I need to, your objectives for the next day. Are you with me?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just sort of processing that a little bit because there's a lot in there. I mean, thanks for sharing the sort of the daily structure and everything, because most of the time people seem to have a really high expectation of themselves as well, to a certain degree. Like you mentioned that you try your best to find 8 hours a day, and you do as much as you can within those 8 hours. Now, 8 hours, when you've got kids and you make your time sort of based on when you need to be ready for school, when you need to be ready for food, and you have a couple of hours, to sort of detach and spend more time with the kids because they're back from school, and you manage to fit all that in. And then when everyone's gone to bed, and then you chill out and you do some work again, and then you sort of go to bed and you wake up and do it all over again. A lot of people are thinking, well, blimey, that's a lot of work, isn't it? And the truth is, it is a lot of work. Just hearing you say all that, it's not easy, right? And you might have like after school clubs, you might have things, homework that the kids might want to spend extra time on, and all those sort of things. But the thing that came up for me was, well, that's just what you've got to do. Like that's just.
The thing is this. I think it comes down to mindset. Imagine, okay, now, take for example, if I go to work, let's say I work as a nurse in the hospital. If I'm on morning shift, I'm going to be at by 9 o'clock after the work. Therefore, I must be at work by 9 o'clock. Now, if I'm going to work by 9 o'clock, my children are also going to go to school by 9 o'clock. How am I going to do it? And then usually I'll close work maybe around 2, 3. That's 8 hours. And then as I'm closing work, I'm rushing to go and pick my children from school. So when I pick my children from school, I'm going to come home and continue those things, the whole thing I've just said. And of course, I also prepare to go to work the next day, probably iron my uniform or whatever it is I need to do to get ready for next day. So that's the same thing. So what makes it as if it's a huge job is when people work for themselves, they think they have the time. They think like when people walk outside, sometimes they don't realize how much they're doing. And then when they work for themselves, they tend to relax. And then lack of discipline makes there is a huge cluster around you. And that cluster is going to cause overwhelm. And those overwhelm is going to make you have more work piled up on you. Now, the most important thing is being organized, and this is what I was trying. I'm tabling out now, because when you have a timetable, you know specifically what you're going to do at each time. And then when you have a workbook, your workbook sets out your daily, your daily goals. Now if you don't have a daily goal, you're not going to achieve anything. That is the most important thing. You must have a daily goal. For me, like for example, in March, we're going to have divers of color. Now, I would say, if I say, okay, today I need to get to this particular speaker, I must send email today. Now, and then when I send that email, I have to be very clear, very direct, very stipulate everything I want, and I also put a date, a deadline for them to come back to me. Now, if after 2 days or something, I'll put them again in my schedule to, if I haven't got any reply, to do a reminder. So all is making sure that within that my deadline, I have the response I need to get, whether I'm negative or positive. Then from that day, that would determine what I do next based on that. Do you understand? So now that is done. Now, once you have done that, you have your timetable, you have your workbook, or your schedule on it, or your goals. You set out all the goals you want to achieve. Then another thing is this. There's something people do. In fact, the first thing that comes to my mind is get up from your bed. That should be the first thing. Oftentimes, people don't get up from the bed. What do I mean by that? Like now, this is my phone. I can easily be on my phone and I pretend I'm working. I call it pretend because sometimes social media deceives a lot of entrepreneurs. You think as long as you're on Facebook or Twitter, you're working. But it's not. Now, let me tell you how. Because when you're not seated on your office and ready to work, you can easily be distracted by anything flying above and beyond around you on social media. But when you're dressed and ready for purpose and you're on your distance, you are going to follow your schedule and your what is on your workbook. So even if you want to interact on other things on social media, maybe what time you're going to do that and when you're on break. If you give yourself time for break, that is when you're going to catch on and do all your banter and jokes and everything on social media. For me, what I normally do is when my children are here and we are all playing and everything, that's when I also play on social media. So apart from that time, when I'm working, every other thing I'm doing on social media is, specifically as I have planned it to be. I work on that. So that's one thing. You have to get up from bed. You have to be organized using your timetable, using your workbook, and then dressing for purpose. And why dressing for purpose? When you're not dressed for purpose, you tend to our body responds, our mind and body respond to the environment. Now, when you dress for purpose, you somehow you are sending a message to your mind that you are busy here. Imagine like when you're wearing when you're wearing a tracksuit or whatever, casually walking about, how you behave, and when you're wearing your ties and you're well suited, you go to a 5-star hotel or whatever, you're gonna behave yourself. You remember all your etiquette, isn't it? Now that's the same thing. Office etiquette matters as well, even when you're working at home, because the way I'm going to behave in my house when I'm not working or when I'm on my pajamas or house coat and everything. It's not going to be the same when I dress up for work, because even the dressing reminds me that I'm at work.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So you have to dress for purpose. If you need to wear your uniform, if you need to, depending on what kind of work it is you do, if you need to wear uniform, if your work requires that you wear uniform, then when you're working from home, wear your uniform at home. Then if you require that you dress up like somebody in an office, the way I'm dressed, the way you normally would dress when you're going out to meet people for that work, dress the same way as if people are watching you. That's the only way you can discipline yourself to stick to this and then work as if somebody's watching you, as if you have a supervisor. And your supervisor, of course, is your workbook, which you need to, tick off the goals you set at the end of the day. So when you're ticking off your goals that you have set for the day, that's when you realize whether did I actually achieve my day's goal? And if you did it, why? Then you have to query yourself and answer the question yourself. Then the next step would be, you have to have your business policies. Set your business policies properly, you know. And this one would take me you mentioned phone calls and all that. Now, this is how I've simplified it. You know, your family, your family are the first people, are the last people to believe that you're doing anything serious when you start a business, especially when you're working from home. So they're going to stroll in at any time and start telling you stories. They're going to be calling your mobile phone anytime. Your friends are going to be calling you at any time. People are going to be asking you, oh, let's have a meeting and have a cup of tea and all that. Now, one thing I challenge when I'm mentoring people, what I ask them is, now, as a nurse, if I go to work, throughout the period I'm at work, I'm not going to answer my phone except when I'm on break. Now, why do you have to answer non-business related phone calls at home? It's simply lack of discipline. Now, it's your duty to discipline people around you to respect what you do. And it's only when you respect what you do that people around you are going to respect what you do. Now, for me, if any of my relatives, my mom, anybody calls me during this time, I don't pick their calls. Rather, what I tell them, if anything is of urgency, send a text message. They can easily send me a text message, then I'll catch on. Then I can, like when I'm working, maybe I'm working on, so I can easily check what the text message is if it's really necessary for me to respond to them. Then I'll get back to them. Then for your clients, as a self-employed person, a small business, sometimes or most of the times, you are going to know your clients one-on-one, and it's easy to go from being client customer relationship to friends, becoming friends. Now, you need to check that. Now, when those clients call you, it's very rare that they're going to stick to discussing the business. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much there, because if you think about like just taking things seriously, if you take your business seriously, you will have an element of a dress code. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be a suit and a tie, but something that makes you feel good and feel like, okay, I'm going to work on my business now. And then you set up the office space and the environment so that you feel like you're in work mode almost. And it's an interesting point, because we're living in the age of, I'm currently based in Lanzarote, right? And the amount of people that used to say the whole cliche of working from the beach and all that sort of stuff. And the truth is I have like maybe one day a week where I do work from the beach, because sometimes it's great just to get outside. But most of the time, it is in an office. It is, well, in an office. It's just something that I've set up to make it feel like, okay, I'm in work mode now. And I've got emails to do. And yeah, I do wear like a jacket. I don't wear a suit. But I feel sort of, the only way I can explain it is I feel serious when I wear it. it's the only way I'm putting it. Like, I feel like I'm taking myself sort of more seriously when I do that, versus being on my phone all day, not really getting much done. And I go, right, no, computer in the office with my work gear on, I can do a lot more. And we've not even got to the bit where it's like, okay, how do we set our priorities straight? How do we know what we're focusing on? How do we know what actions to take? We've not even covered that yet. We've not even got to there yet, because you're like, no, discipline comes first. You need a structure. You need an environment set up so that we can actually work. Because otherwise, as you said, you're never going to really get anything productive done unless you're able to do these things. And this isn't without, okay, how do you structure your time? How do you spend your time? What sort of things do you do? Because when you're running, like I run a handful of companies and businesses and brands as well, is that when someone says to you, oh, what do you do for an hour? I do everything. I do all of it. There's no like, do I do emails or social media or messaging people or phone calls or whatever it is. I can I can do like messages and emails, but 5 of them could be collaborations, 5 of them could be clients, 10 of them could be organizing something for next year, another 10 of them could be doing such and such a thing. So when someone says to me, oh, well, how do you prioritize your time? I go, I don't. I just do as much as I can, as long as it helps me towards that. The goal that you mentioned before, like setting that daily goal, right? As long as you hit the goal, you look at it and go, well, does it really matter when I do something?
The thing is, for me, that's why I said, you have to pay attention at what kind of work you do and why you chose to work from home. Everybody have different scenarios. My own, I'm talking from the point of view of being a mom, who works from home. And at a point, I have babies that depend solely on me. How do you juggle that? Most times in London, one of the most difficult challenges that Londoners face as a parent is taking, school runs and child care. So if you're able to work around it, then you'll be able to manage all of that. Now, for me, if I don't say I'm going to do social media from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, you will find yourself wasting a whole 1 hour. You're not sure what you accomplished. Now, for me, once I wake up, once I come on my desk, depending on the emails I'm expecting, mind you, as an editor, I always get people pitching article, ideas they want, and most of the times these articles are just to benefit them, not me. So I have to be very careful what email I'm responding to. Now you have to prioritize those emails. Like now, there are emails that, okay, I will check my email and then, or I'll have email like now, like yesterday, I've already known the emails I'm going to write today. Then probably when I finish writing those emails, I will now have maybe another 30 minutes to catch up with other emails that that I wasn't expecting. I'll scan through them and know which ones are important at this point, and then I'll respond to them. Or what I do is the ones I read and I'm not ready to respond immediately, I quickly put it back on read, so it still flags up on my email that I haven't read it. So it's still a to-do on my list. So because when you don't do that, at one point you won't see it again, you will forget and you won't know. So that's one of those ones. That's what about being organized and prioritizing. Like, you must prioritize what you do the same way that you budget your money. That's how you prioritize your time. That's how you prioritize your activities. If not, you find yourself spending your resources, spending your time, your energy on what you cannot account for. So if you do budget money, like if you have £10, you check, what am I spending the £10 on before you start spending. That's the same way, the same discipline you have to apply on using your time and using yourself. If not, you end up using yourself. At the end of the day, you're so tired, but you cannot hold exactly what you did. And this is what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. When you see so many startups, if you ask them, they tell you, oh, they work 24 hours. I don't get a sleep because you find yourself doing everything at the same time. At the end of the day, you are not sure whether you did any of them properly or not. Before, I used to use my phone to respond to emails. And I found out that when you go back to read what you wrote, you find out that there were there are a lot of mistakes. Two, your thought process was not properly, organized. Three, any emotion you're feeling, you are very easily going to dump it there. But when you're sitting on the computer, using the keyboard, whatever, you find out that you take your time to read it again, and you're more likely to be more professional with your response when you're writing from, than like if I'm on my desk watching TV and somebody sends me email. Nonsense. What is this person even saying? So that emotion, I'm going to use it to respond to that email. I did it at one point, and then I realized this is not good. I have to be more professional. So those are the steps. Then on the phone calls, I was talking on the phone calls. I don't know if it's okay for me to go on that one now.
Go for it.
Okay, now you see, up to 40% of the phone calls that we take, even on our business, are unnecessary. When I started, and you were talking about business structuring, this one also has to do with the business structure and your business policies as well on that base. You can put them under this now. Now, when I started initially, like for example, Divas of Color, Divas of Color, sometimes we have up to 30, 40, 50 businesses who come to showcase their businesses there. Mm-hmm. So then what I used to do was, when we are promoting, we put the phone number for people to call to register and all that. If it was then, by now you'd be hearing the phone ringing, and some of them, when you pick the phone, you start explaining all over again what the business, what the benefits are, what the show is all about, what. Then at the end of the day, you find out the person has not even made up their mind. You waste the time. Now, until we had to structure our website, we had to have our website down. So when the website was down, you know that the page where people are going to register is completely and clearly described. Your terms and conditions are there. Your frequently asked questions are there. So the person have no need to come back to you. And then you try to make it, let them know that it's easier for them to get the answer they are looking for when they send an email than when they call. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So that's one strategy. Then the second strategy is, mind you, you're always going to have some difficult clients. So no matter what you put on your website, they still want to do it their own way. Now, what I do is, when somebody calls me, I'm going to be on my feet. I'll be on my feet like that. Now, when you stand on your feet, it puts a sense of urgency on you. And because you don't want to stand for too long. So when somebody calls, you are going to quickly respond to what they say. And then you remind them that any further details that you're going to email them, or what I do sometimes is those very difficult ones, I'll ask them, are you on your computer at the moment? Are you on the website? If they're not on the website, get them onto the website. So once you get them onto the website, walk them through until they get to where they need to register. Now, when you get them there, you're going to ask them what they didn't understand there. At this point now, you're exposing them to their own fully, and then you walk them through down there. They themselves will discover that they're being unnecessarily stubborn. So what I do is I make sure they see that on that website. Then I'll tell them, is there any other thing that is confusing here now? Sometimes some of them will tell you, oh, they don't want to pay online. Then at that point, I'll say, okay, I will email you our direct bank account. As soon as you pay, we do this. Then I'll say, sorry, I have another client on the line. And I'll end the talk. So because if you leave them, they'll keep talking. And sometimes when these people call, is it that when they are on break, they have nothing doing? Sometimes when they are, they're on their bed resting, they're looking for somebody to chat with. They start asking you unnecessary questions. So you have to be in control of that conversation and make it snappy and let them know that you are very busy at this time. Anything beyond answering that question, what they need, you can't. Then another thing is minimizing phone calls. Another thing is, making sure that friends don't call you during your working hours. Friends and family. Like I was trying to explain earlier, if I go to work, if my mom calls me, I'm going to tell her, Mom, I'm at work. When I get back, I'll call you. So why don't you do it when you're working for yourself? So that they know that you're working, because family are always going to ask you, when are you going to get actual job? So, but when you start treating them, letting them know that I actually have a job, then they will start treating your business as an actual job.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, really. It's yeah, I mean, it happens so much, right? Where because I mean, just a bit of a touch on with the emails thing as well is I what I used to do, very similar to you, was I used to answer my emails on my phone, and is one of the main notifications that I get, right? Is emails on the phone. But what I started doing was I can get rid of the non-urgent emails on the day. I can go, no, not bothered, no, spam, all that sort of stuff. But then I only answer my emails on my computer. So I don't sit there and answer things on my phone. I wait until I get to the computer because it's a way of, I guess, detaching almost. I've noticed that with the whole discipline side is it definitely gives you a sense of I'm working here and then I'm sort of not working. So there's a definite distinction between the two, right? You've got working hours, non-working hours. Working hours, family hours, non-work, chill out, bed, food, right? You slot everything together. But I've noticed that, particularly with yourself, it's one of the things that I wanted you on the show, on the event, was it's the discipline that allows you to slot all those things together. Like, could you imagine a time where your working hours moved, like, went over by half an hour? That probably couldn't happen in your world, right? Imagine if if your like working hour before you pick the kids up from school went half an hour later because of a phone call or an emergency came up. You'd be late to pick your children up from school. So you can't let that happen, right? So you've got to figure out how to do all these things and how to manage yourself and how to be strict with yourself. And what I quite like from what you said was sometimes it's about being strict with other people. Sometimes it's not just about being strict with yourself, because we can all be strict with ourselves, right? It's not a difficult thing to do until other people come into it, don't they?
You know what? You cannot be strict with other people if you're not strict with yourself. So it starts with yourself. Until you are able to hold yourself to account, like for example now, if if my working time, I need to go and pick my children up from school. I cannot walk over into their own time. If not, the school will start calling me. And if I do that oftentimes, they will report me. I'll have issues with the school. Therefore, that disciplines me. So whatever reason that will make you go beyond your time, then you have to find a way to make it give you that guilt that will make you not go over it. Do you understand? Now, and of course, you can still work during your playtime. Like when I call it my break time, when I'm playing with my kids. Of course, there are times when I will come, but that time I don't see it as work. Remember, the business I do, all my businesses are based on passion, first of all. So if you are passionate about something, you can't really switch off completely. So, but what I mean is for you to be productive, you must have your working hours that you actually work. because most entrepreneurs, you find them every single day. They are not. They will tell you, oh, some people will tell you, I just had meeting. I had 5 meetings, and all those meetings are just them meeting their friends or meeting, for the sake of meeting people.
Mhm.
Now, and this also comes under the time management as well. Like now, I remember when sometimes on Facebook people say, "Oh, Fauntee, I would like to have, for us to have a meeting, over a cup of tea." And you're so excited. Oh, on Monday, you're dressing up, you're going to the London City to meet. You have no idea what you're meeting for. You don't know what that's all about. Then people pick your brain or whatever. You don't have any structure for them to absorb what for you to you have no relationship with your business. Now, again, sometimes these people you're meeting, they have 9 to 5 jobs. And now they talk you into coming to meet them on their break days, the day they're on break or their holiday or whatever. Now, you just go out there sitting down and talking whatever. At the end of the day, you didn't sell anything, you didn't prepare anything. In fact, there was this guy on not just once, about 3 different people on LinkedIn that were pestering me. They wanted to meet me. Now, I wanted them to put out is what are we meeting for? Let me understand why we need to meet, because whatever you need, if you send it across, then I can answer you here, I can give you answer here, or decide, that kind of. I need to not have an agenda. Why are we meeting? And then it's only when people say why they want to meet you, you'll be able to classify what that meeting is. Do you understand? Now, sometimes people want to meet you and you find yourself sitting down doing consultation without being paid, or even you end up mentoring them or giving them tips, or solving their business problems without you, and when you go home you are very angry and bitter. So it's very important as an entrepreneur you be able to know why. If you want to meet somebody for the sake of networking, that's fine, you can, but it has to be stated. You need to know why you are meeting somebody.
Yeah,
Very.
it's almost like it's just trying to think of the right way of putting it. Like as long as you know why, like the why is probably less important than knowing it, if that makes sense. Like if you know you're meeting someone for a coffee for half an hour, okay, great. But not having a proper, clear reason for it, you're just meeting for whatever, that can make life very difficult because you don't know how to go about it. You don't know what the meeting's for. You kind of like you wander in and you go, okay, this is a bit odd. We're meeting for no reason. So I definitely attest to that. I think a lot of things that you've said so far is it can lead to people thinking, is it not too structured? Is it not too regimented? Is it not too like constricted? And one of the things that I want to say a little bit before you sort of share your pieces, the problem is the problem is we only have so much time in the day. Now, if when you look at the icons in the business world, like your Gary V's and your people that are very, very busy people,
Mm.
like there's only so much you can do, right? Like you can't turn around and go, well, I can't wake up and go through the motions through my day if I've got business meetings, if I've got calls with people, if I've got a family to take care of, if I've got a lot of things on my plate. The only way you're ever going to really manage all those things is by doing what we've spoken about. I mean, I'm often envious of people, right, that can go through the motions and get away with it. I'm kind of like, oh, you lucky person, you. How on earth did you manage to get to a point where you could go through the motions, pretend to have a structure, but you sat on your phone all day and still manage to get through the day? I am envious sometimes of those people. But sometimes it's about being busy, right? Like the busier you are, you've got to start incorporating certain things into your day. Otherwise, you're never gonna be able to get it done. There's not enough time in the day, So
You know,
as a final thought, what are your thoughts on people that will go, well, is it too structured? Is it not too structured? Is there certain things that we can and can't do? Like some people will shy away from this because it's too restricting. My belief is it can't be too restricting if it allows you to do what you want to do. Like imagine you without the structure, you might not have enough time to spend with your kids, and then you'll feel horrible because you're not being able to spend time with your kids. So it's almost like you do all the things that you do to allow you to do other things. You know, you do the business because you want to do it, and then because of what we've spoken about, you're able to do more of the other things that you also want to do. You know, that's kind of that's my take on it. But before we get to questions, what would your take on that be?
Now, when people say that, the thing is this: you cannot go into business if you don't have passion, if you don't have discipline, and you don't have purpose. What determines the goals? And you cannot achieve. Like me? Can you hear me?
I I think we did lose you for a little bit there. Do you mind repeating what you said again?
Yeah. So what I was saying is this. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, you're coming through fine now.
Okay. So what I was saying is this: for you to run a business, or for you to be self-employed, one, you must have passion. Two, you must have purpose, and three, you must be disciplined. If you don't have passion and you don't have discipline, you're not going to achieve any. You cannot achieve your purpose. And for you to achieve that purpose, you know, you must you know. For me now, whatever purpose, whatever is my why that I started my business, I need money. And for you to be productive, productivity is measured by the financial growth of your business. Do you understand? Now, because if I don't have enough money to pay my writers, then they won't be writing. And that purpose, whatever purpose I had in mind, will never be achieved. Now, if I'm not disciplined enough to make it work, then I'm not going to do it. So the thing is this: when people say, "Oh, you're so restricted," I ask them, "Okay, when you were at work, if I call you on the phone, your phone is actually switched off because you have a manager or a supervisor who you're answering to." Myself, I'm answering to my bank account. If at the end of the day I cannot pay my bills, you are not going to pay it for me. So my resources, my time, my the amount of money I'm making is my supervisor, and that is what determines what I do. So if people who go to 9 to 5, imagine if I go to 9 to 5, I spend extra 4 hours, 2 hours going, 2 hours coming. That's about how many hours? 8 hours plus 4 hours. That's almost 12 hours or so
Yeah.
that they spend on their work. So perhaps when they do the extra bits or maybe phone calls, maybe when they're on transit, during the time they're transiting or going to work or coming, or maybe in their train or whether if they take a train, or that's when some people can, or maybe taking a bus, that's when some people can actually answer phone calls or be on social media. The same way, if you can discipline yourself at work, you are scared that you'll be sacked if you start answering calls or doing other things. Then why don't you be scared that if you don't focus on your business and be productive, you will not be able to pay your bills, and of course your business will collapse and you've been sacked as the director. So it's the same thing. So the same is just a mindset. So when you have the mindset and then you have to follow through that mindset, you find out that it's not even a restriction. It's not too much to ask for.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think if you see it the same way, the whole kind of, if you're not productive at work, if you don't discipline yourself, then you could get the sack, right? You lose your job. And I think the more people that start to take their business seriously, even if they're working from home, then that can lead to a lot of the things that we've spoken about. And I think the more people need to hear it. I really do. I think that people have this idea that, oh, well, run a business from home, and that means that everything will be amazing. And the thing that I think people will get from what we're talking about is It's the discipline and the structure and the seriousness that allows you to do that. And you can't do that all the time because everything sort of overlaps and your work will bleed over into your family time, and then you start to sacrifice your family time or your leisure time or your non-work time because you weren't disciplined and serious to begin with. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Before we dive into questions, because we do have someone joining us live, where can people go to learn more about you?
Okay, to find out more about me, I think the best place to go is my personal website. From there, you'll be able to find all my businesses. So if you go to fauntebon.com, Fauntebon, the way you spread it on the flyer, fauntebon.com. That's my personal website. From there, you'll be able to see all the things that I do, both the personal things like coaching, writing and all that, and speaking. Then my business, I have the Divas of Color. That's divasofcolor.com or C Hub Magazine. C Hub is actually Chub Magazine. That's how you spell CHUB magazine.com. So very easy to find me. And I'm also on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and all this, any major social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I think for now, I'm the only one who's answering that name, Fauntee. So when you check on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, at Fauntee, on LinkedIn, Faustina Anyanwu, but I think if you put linkedin.com/Fauntee, I think it's my link as well. And on Facebook, I have a page, Fauntee Show. And then I have also YouTube, the Fauntee Show, where some of these things I always talk about my ideas and what I know, for people who cannot afford to hire me to mentor them or coach them. They can actually, access these things free as well, or buy my books. At the moment I have just one book on that has to do with business, and then there are two more coming. This particular topic now, I have it a handbook, a productivity handbook for working from home entrepreneurs. And then I also have the one that is coming out soon. It's called Knocking the Knockers.
Okay. Yeah.
So Knocking the Knockers. So that one also will be coming out soon. So it's all once you find fauntebon.com.
Oh.
So, sorry about the alarm. I don't know why the alarm went off. I'm not cooking anything, So
It's okay. I mean, it's realistic. Believing it in, by the way. I'm not video editing this at all. That's staying in the video.
Yeah.
So yeah, great stuff. It's been amazing to have you on.
Yeah.
What we'll do,
have you ended the recording? Sorry.
Pardon?
Are we still recording?
Yes. Yeah. Still on.
Yeah. Okay. There's one very important point that I missed out. That important point is record keeping. Most entrepreneurs, we don't keep record, especially of your financial record. If you're a registered company, you don't know when the tax man is going to pay you a visit. Please keep your receipts, keep your invoices, be sure of how payments are going out from your business account. Be able to account for your coming in and going out. So that's the end. That's to summarize it. So I don't forget. That's very important.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that as well. I think it all stems back to you've got to start taking things seriously, even if you do work from home, I think. So yeah, what we'll do, we'll open out to questions now. So hopefully, Debbie, who's joining us live, she can come on. Hopefully she's made notes. And yeah, what I'll do, I'll mute my microphone. I'll unmute Deb if she wants to come on the camera. That's up to her. Doesn't need to. And yeah, hopefully she'll have some questions. So I'll unmute me, and I'll mute me and I'll unmute Deb as well, so we can have a chat.
Hi there. Hi, Fauntee.
Hi, Debs.
It's been really, really great to listen to you and
thank you.
Get some experience on that. I think myself, so I'm going to have to restructure my office. I'm like, oh yes, I can see how, like, my office at the moment is in it's in the hallway, and as we speak, I'll try and get my video on. No, the host has disabled the video, so I can't get my video on. So yeah, my office is in the hallway. The kids sometimes use the computer, so yeah, I can relate to having your own space and doing, making it all setting you up for going into work mode. Other questions that I wanted to ask, being sort of serious in business, is there sort of, obviously if you're working in a job, you'd look to other people for accountability, you'd have the hierarchy, bosses and things. Is it possible to put that in place at home, like have somebody that checks in on you and just make sure that you're ticking over, doing the things that you should? Is that an idea? A partner or somebody, a like friend that's in the same sort of business? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's very, very possible. Thank you so much, Debbie, for that question. It's one of the things also people ask about. First of all, what I tell people is this. I'm sorry, I don't know why my alarm. Maybe I need to mute. 1 second, let me find out what's happening.
Yeah, okay, all right, no problem. Sounds serious.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Fingers crossed it's short of battery or something.
Could be. I think just as a quick point on that as well, is that can be why people have like mentors and coaches sometimes, because they struggle to keep themselves accountable, and they struggle to, keep themselves sort of on the straight and narrow, so to speak. But sometimes, I mean, if that, in my opinion anyways, if that's what you need and you can't set it up
Sorry about that. This is happening.
So,
this is like a problem happening within the neighborhood. Almost every flat here is having these things. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. So Debbie, going straight to your question. So what I advise is this: one, it's not always good to have a friend or have your partner to check on you. Rather, it's better to have a business mentor or coach who is going to be very brutal with you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially your first 2 years or first 5 years, depending on how you begin to discipline yourself, because and building your own confidence in what your abilities are. Like for me, first 2 years, I struggled a lot because I want to please people. When people call, I'm going to be on the phone talking. Oh, I was thinking if I'm nice, I'm going to win them over as a client. But I didn't know that what you need to be is confident and be able to offer value. So no matter how nice you are and you're not offering value, you're going to lose that client.
Yeah.
So you have to have a mentor who is there to check that you're doing what you're supposed to do. And then on your own side, when you have paid for somebody to, mentor you or coach you, you're going to be able to tell yourself, I invested money on this, I have to get the best out of it. And then you're going to comply. So, but when you have a friend, if a friend says something, you're going to start making excuses. And the friend, there's nothing the friend is going to do, then if you tell your partner, of course, your partner will even make the excuse for you. Then you need to take care of the kids, that's fine. You need to find, a balance.
Yeah, somebody sort of objective that can really call you out on things.
Yes, exactly. And then if you have an accountant, accountants are the worst. accountants, when they check your income, is they're going to tell you that, are you sure this business is even viable? They're going to try to talk you out of the business, telling you you're not making enough money. They will challenge you to, for you to start looking at your cash flow. When your accountant brutally talks to you, you don't need anybody to wake you up in the morning.
Brilliant.
I've also found as well is that sometimes, how can I put it? If they get too friendly, then there's an element of seriousness that goes away, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Like, you can start to feel a bit like flexible, oh, it doesn't matter if it's not on time because you'll be kind to me and all those things. When sometimes you need someone to go, well, you said you'd do this. And I think there's a difference between being accountable to someone and then having someone almost encourage you to keep being accountable to yourself. So it's all like, if you've got a boss, let's say, you're accountable to the boss. But if you've got someone there that says, look, you said you would get this in, and you're going to be late if you don't book your ideas up and start working a bit quicker so you can get it done. It's a weird, different conversation. I know I'm aware of that, but it's a difficult dynamic when people get too friendly because things get a bit too easy, things get a bit lazy, I guess, for want of a better expression. Things get a bit too easygoing. And
that is why, excuse me,
having someone be objective, as you said before.
That's why it's important to have a mentor or a coach.
Yeah.
Because now, when you pay a mentor, the mentor is there to do his or her job, to hold you accountable. And this is going to be very brutally, not looking at your emotion and anything you say is an excuse. So the person is not going to entertain those excuses. Now, when you have paid for something to be done and you know the consequences, like for me, if I'm mentoring somebody and the person failed to do, follow our deadlines 2 consecutive times, that's the end of that mentoring, and the money is non-refundable. Now, so when you remember how much you've invested and you remember that, okay, look at the consequences of it's just like also losing your job or being penalized at work. Therefore, you will know that you're going to lose money, and that is why I don't mentor entrepreneurs for free, because when you mentor people for free, it becomes a friendship again.
Yeah.
They'll start pulling you back. So people respect what they invest in. So if you cannot discipline yourself in that regard, then you have to discipline yourself by paying for it and then respecting the money you have spent. For example, my daughter goes for acting class every Thursday by 6 o'clock. In fact, yesterday I was so tired after everything I've done. I didn't want to go. So, but I remembered I paid £200. How am I going to just let £200 go like that? I had to summon the courage and find a way to get myself and my daughter there. But if it was free or something very cheap, I would say, let's forget about it. Maybe next week you go. Before you know it, there'll be 2 more, 3 times that she won't go. So that's another way to look at it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Deb?
Have we lost Deb?
She's muted my eye.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm just sorting the got a client coming, so just setting up for that as well, to be honest. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see how that would work. Definitely make a difference.
Yeah, because I suppose if you aim for the friend as well, to try and have the boundaries set almost can be difficult as well. If you go from having a friend keep you accountable and keep you on the straight and narrow, it can be hard to maintain the unserious side and then have the serious side. So there's an element of that gets very difficult. It gets very hard to do. But as Fauntee said, it's about having someone there that can do that and can keep you on the straight and narrow and can give you that sense of accountability that you might need. And so, yeah, it's difficult to do the alternatives, I find.
Yeah.
So another question that I did have, you touched on sort of people going out and meeting up with friends for lunch and everything. Sometimes it can get lonely and feel isolated if you're working from home, especially if there's nobody around during the day. Is there any way of overcoming this easily?
Yeah, this is that's why it's important to have timetable. Your timetables, set out things you're going to do each day, or depending on your week, you plan your week or plan. For me, I plan my week. I also plan my day. My day is planned out on my work. In fact, everything is planned out on my workbook. I have a timetable for each day. Now, let's say for example, I make sure that at least every week I have a day that I get out, even if it's maybe I'm going to have meeting, you know, and then I work it around when my husband is off duty. He's not working. He's fully available so that he takes charge of the children. So that's why it's very important. You need to look at your own situation, you know. So your situation will determine how you plan your day. For me, my purpose is that in every day there is 8 hours dedicated to work. Then in a week there is one day dedicated to my networking, and whether that networking, whether it means having a meeting cup of tea with somebody, which I rarely do. Before I have a meeting with somebody, I will have to know why. Is it that it's somebody that I've built relationship with and we just want to hang out and network? I know that that day is my relaxing day. Or I'm going to consult somebody and I'm going out, or I'm going to actual business networking. So you have to work it out, for you. In my earlier days, I work only 3 days. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at home. Then Thursday and Friday, I try to go out one of those days. Then Friday, I use Friday to, you know, home cleaning, doing other things in the house, so that on Saturday we don't have to do much. I will take the children out and, either they're going dancing, all those classes and stuff like that. Then Sunday is my relaxed day. All the videos, all the things I've recorded on the TV that I want to watch, soap and things like that, then I binge watch those programs. That's on Sunday. So it's a bit of discipline, planning, and being organized as well, and focusing on your purpose as well, and balance.
Yeah, I can understand that sort of achieving the balance. If you're stuck in your office at home all day for 5 days, 6 days a week, you're going to need to get out and interact with people face to face. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Another problem I have with working from home is detaching from home. Things like you go to make a coffee and there's a pile of washing sat there looking at you and think, well, I'll bob that on, and before you know it, you're washing up. And you think, oh, I've just spent half an hour doing homeware tasks and things, and just you just say,
So
oh, just do this.
I'm gonna tell you how I got around it. For me, what I do is I wake up assuming that I'm going to walk, where I'm going to take a train. Now, you imagine that usually you take 2 hours to get to work, sometimes 1 hour, 1.5, depending. Now, I always imagine that I'll take 2 hours to get to work if I'm going to travel to go to work. Therefore, that 2 hours, I'm going to dedicate it to the home before I start working.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's what I was doing the earliest time. But now I have my daughter. My daughter is, one of my daughters is 12. The other one is 10 to 11. Now they help out in the house, chores. Now, before we go to bed every night, I make sure that we wash the last plate that we are used. So that in the morning, all I'm going to clean up is what they use for breakfast, which doesn't take me more than 30 minutes. Now, my daughters can hoover the house. So in the night before we go to bed, whoever is the person's duty that day, we make sure the person does hoover before we go to bed. So that in the morning, what I'm going to do is arranging pillows, making sure things are where they're supposed to be, which will not take me a long time. And then I have my 1-year-old. Thankfully, today I scheduled this thing the day my husband is going to be available to take him with him, so that when I'm doing the video, I won't be interrupted. So these are how I try to plan my days. Last week, was it last week, Thursday or whatever? I went for networking, business networking outside the house. So this week I didn't go, because I have other things that I wanted to focus on. So it depends on you, always look at your purpose and always look at, for example, if you don't have a goal post, you're not going to score any goal. So always put a goal that you need to achieve. If you don't have, you have to always set out a goal for you that, okay, you have, like, for me, I have like a weekly goal, I have a daily goal. And now in the next 3 months, my goal is to have a successful event with Divas of Color, where we have international women coming, people from different parts of the world coming. Am I able to pull the crowd I want to pull? Am I able to get all the exhibitors I want? Am I able to get all the speakers I want? So these are goals I want to achieve. Therefore, based on that 3 months goal, my daily goals must be achieved somehow, or at least up to 80%. Then, when you look at your overall goal, that one now is your cash flow that determines that. And then when you face your accountant, that's when you tell yourself, how have I done this year? So it's all, and being able to pay your bills. When you see the bills piling and the cash is not coming, that will make you to also find a way around some of those things. And again, sorry, before I conclude on that, it used to happen to me, it's a normal thing until you address it. It used to happen to me when, at one point, I and my husband, when my husband is around, you find out we start behaving like we are not at work. Like it might be like, baby, get me tea or make food, go and do shopping. I want to get this, distractions. At one time, I had to come out and we sat down. I told him, look, throughout this week, I haven't made any money from the business. Am I actually doing this business, or do I go and get a job? Because look at the bills, look at this. And he had to see reasons with me. If we continue like that for the next 6 months, we're going to become, in fact, we'll be homeless. We won't be able to pay our bills. And he didn't need anybody else to talk to us to behave.
Yeah, I can definitely sort of relate to that, and getting other people to take it seriously and realise that you are working. I mean, I work from home doing some coaching business, but I have my therapy room. I'm a complementary therapist as well. So that's having appointments and people coming to the house. So it's like another kettle of fish as well with them. Some of the people that have been talking to other therapists say that customers will sometimes settle in and they make them a coffee, and before you know it, 3 or 4 hours have gone by, and they could have got other treatments in, or they could have sorted kids out for tea. So are there any more tips on how to, clients coming to the house, how to tactfully get them, process their treatment, and then get them, not make them feel enough at home to settle in for hours as if you're friends?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, well, because I haven't had clients coming to my house, I don't know how that works. But what I was thinking, when you said you have clients coming to your home, I felt it's even easier now. It makes it easier for you to work, because when you have actual clients coming to see you, that means you have to dress for purpose. That's one thing. Because once you dress for purpose, that instinct, that mindset of work automatically kicks in. That's
Mm.
one. Two, you need to structure your business in a way that when clients come, there's a process. The process of welcome and how long they're going to stay. Like imagine when you go to see a GP,
Mm.
you can't
Yeah.
talk more than a particular, you have to present one thing, and after a time, the GP is looking at you to leave. They're done. You know, I think it depends on how you conduct yourself. That is what makes the client to feel relaxed. Now,
Mm.
if you have a treatment room, once you are done with the clients inside your treatment room and they're about to go, you just stand on the door, hold the door for them to leave,
Yeah.
and then whatever conversation, then you say, okay, see you again next week. Um, you can talk about if the next client is there, or you find a way to make them know that this is urgent and I need to move on.
Mm.
This used to happen to me. Let me give you an example, because some of these things happen to all of us.
Yeah.
Because now, I was managing a brand at one point. The lady was my friend before she came to me to manage their brand. So
Mm.
sometimes this lady will call me on the phone from nowhere. There was no schedule for her to call me, but she will call. And then she'll start telling me all her life story, telling me from there. Before you know it, we're already gossiping about how other people have been treating
Mm.
her, or a common friend, or whatever. We start talking about what doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So at one point, that was bothering me. I didn't know how to handle it. Then, and when I talked to my husband about, my husband said, calm down, she's paying a lot of, I said, but she's not paying a lot of money. She's paying for what I'm doing for her.
Mm.
After a time, each time she calls, I'll pick the phone. And my landline, unfortunately, my landline doesn't show who is calling me. So when
Right.
I pick the phone, she will start talking. I will tell her, please, I'm going to call you back. I'm just working on something. There's a client on the other line. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And then I will put her off. But what I found is sometimes she'll start calling me from Facebook Live, or calling me from WhatsApp and all that. So when she calls me on those ones, I'll keep on muting it. I won't, I'll keep on declining. I won't pick it up. At
Yeah.
one point, in fact, to summarize, at one point, that relationship had to be terminated. I had to stop managing her. I told her, one, the time you're taking is so much, that I can't even focus on the work I need to do for you, and is also encroaching into my own time with other things I need to do. At the end of the day, I'm not getting the result you want because I'm spending so much time discussing things that we're not supposed to be talking about, and that affected both the friendship and the business relationship. So after that incident, I know now that how to manage anybody when you come to my business. Once it's business, when I'm on duty, it's business. When I want to play with you, then I will play.
It's not straightforward, is it? Because if you think about a lot of the things that you mentioned there, it's about like how you conduct yourself, right? How you present yourself, how you essentially tell people that the time's up. You have to have that conversation around, okay, we're finished now. I do have somebody else, So it's hard because you've got to have that conversation with yourself to a certain degree. Like, time's nearly up now. You should probably think about winding this conversation down or organizing, them leaving the house to go to their house. And you've got to get into the habit or the routine of like a transition, the
Yeah.
transition between things, and
One
try to
other thing.
organize that.
One other thing I do now with my mentoring, if I'm mentoring somebody, I meant like if I'm going to mentor you for 30 minutes, we set time for that 30 minutes, and the rule or the policies beyond 30 minutes, if let's say my mentoring with you is 1 hour and that's what you paid for. If we continue beyond 30 minutes more after that 1 hour, then you're going to pay me for another 1 hour. You'll be billed. So the client already knows that once you are finished, once is the time, whether you're discussing social life or discussing other things that has nothing to do with the mentoring, that's your money going. I'm all for it. So the person will be billed. So that's how I do it. So, that's another way. So when you are treating people, your therapy, I don't know how it works. So you can also structure it based on time. Your treatment is going to be for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, if the person continues to wait, then that person is going to be billed for 45 minutes or 1 hour, depending on how you structure it. Then people will begin to respect the time as well.
What are your thoughts on that, Deb?
Yeah, that's a real good point, and I think it's about realising your self-worth and your time, that it is valuable, and a lot of people do seem to beat themselves up that they get into these situations and they think, well, they're a client, if I start directing them out the door, are they going to be take umbrage with it and not want to come again? So yeah,
that was the fear I used to have before. And most times entrepreneurs have that fear. You think that they're more nice and all that. And when I mean nice, it's not being professional. You have to be professional. Yeah. Yes, you need to. The most thing you need to do for your client is offer them value, the best value you can offer them. If you offer them the best value and you're being professional and not rude, they themselves will respect you. But when you're being nice, customers are not fools. They know that they are just whiling away time, and if you continue with them in that, they know that you don't know what you're doing. You don't know don't value your own time, and they'll be more comfortable doing that. Now, you need to find a way to tell them that you are busy.
Yeah.
Like I think hospital is usually the best one. You see how nurses and doctors and all that, when they finish with you, they will stop talking. Whatever you say, they will say, they'll just, and you start wondering, okay, it's like you finished, then you go. Now, depending on what therapy it is that you do, if it's one that let's say, for example, if you do massage or something, when you finish the massaging, you go over to the computer and start recording what you do. And whatever the person is saying that you're not actually paying attention, and then you say, okay, maybe see you again on so the conversation has finished. Then you will see the person grabbing their jacket and all that. So make it a point that there's something showing that you still have work to do. So the person can know that whatever they're doing now, they're being rude, encroaching into your own time. So you have to find a way to tackle that, because you won't keep a client who receives value because you refuse to start being social and chatting with them.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid point, and it's really appreciated. So that's all the questions that I've got, and I've really enjoyed this and got some good tips that I'm going to start implementing. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Awesome. Well, Fauntee or Fortina, hopefully I've got that right as well. Hopefully we have an amazing day. It's been great to have a chat. Obviously, thanks for sticking around to answer questions for Deb as well. It was really, really insightful, some of the more practical tips that you gave to herself, so she was able to go away and do those. It's been great to chat, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thank you so much. Thanks.